Hello. A very good evening to you, Joanna, and thank you so much for taking out time. And that's too late in in your country. So, a very good evening to you, and good afternoon, everybody out there in India. And I have a very special guest and a friend of mine who's joining me. She has joined me from Sydney. And before we start the talk with Joanna, I would like everyone, all of the viewers, to know more about her before we start the entire talk and we discuss many issues over here, the real issues which are related to women empowerment and also, about the aspects which are there globally. When I talk about Joanna, it's a beautiful journey which she carries along, so many years of her career and also in her professional life. She's born in Australia though, but she spent her teenage years in USA, where she embraced the paradigm: if you believe something needs to be done to make a difference, then just do it. That's what she believes in. As mother to four, she wears many hats and has juggled many roles. At the heart of her life's mantra is a deep inner knowing that all things are connected, combined with a passionate commitment to continual personal growth. That's what she believes in. So beautiful. Joanna's professional career is varied and diverse, launching as Australia's youngest female architect and builder, known for her award winning bio-sustainability designs. She has in parallel contributed to the Australian financial sector. As a general manager at Mortgage Itzy, she leads a multi award winning team and non bank lending business that in 2020 will serve over $3 billion dollars in home loans. Joanna demonstrates that when it comes to career, anything and everything is possible. So superb. I mean, while even reading it out so aloud for all the viewers who has just you just got introduced, it's so lovely and it's so inspiring, the entire journey of yours. So, Joanna, to know more about it, being an architect, then coming into something which is so inspirational and the successful woman, you are chief ambassador of the successful woman also, women community. Where did you actually start and where are you today? It's like a big thing, when we all look at it. So beautiful. So can you just take us through once again personally from your end? I would like to know more about this journey.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me. It's a real treat to be with you and all your audience tonight. Well, yes, it is a very long story, and it just goes to show that many things happen in life, and it's the combination and the unique combination of flavors that really create one's professional story. I think a lot of us are so focused on, what should I be and am I just one thing? And if I could sort of impart something straight away, it's really the combination of all of your life experiences and who you are and your unique gifts with what you do. So yeah, for me, yes, I was born in Australia, which is a beautiful, beautiful country. And but I was very, very lucky that my family moved to Philadelphia when I was in my teenage years. And there was a very, very strong philosophy there that if there was something that needed to be said or something that needed to be changed, that you really needed to take action and to speak up and to stand up for what you believe in and to be passionate and to be true to yourself, as opposed to really standing by and letting things go by and watching things go by. And so that was really the formative time in my first education, where I developed this incredible passion and belief that it was possible to make change in the world, and that was something that all people should, really aspire in their own unique way, whether that be giving service, whether that be on the sports field, whether that be in academic studies or pursuits, whether that be in your relationships within the community, whether that be representing communities, that there is a special place for everybody to find what it is that they're truly passionate about. So I returned to Australia as a young woman. I was only 18 years old, and I entered into the world of architecture, and that was such a blessing in my life. believe it or not, I was actually a maths and physics geek in high school. So
Okay.
I have no idea why, but somebody said to me there was a lot of maths in architecture. And
Yeah.
it wasn't until I actually got into the studies that I realized it was a very creative discipline. And there was a very strong need in those days to actually be able to draw and to craft designs by hand. So this was before computer-aided design was coming in. This was before there was 3D rendering and modeling. And so I had to confront, my first fear, which was I didn't actually believe of myself as being a creative person at that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And was I willing to actually change that mindset and embrace perhaps what was a part of myself that I hadn't experienced yet? And so I enrolled myself in night college, and I went away and I learned how to do life drawing, and I learned how to draw. And I got in touch with my creativity, and that was 6 years of a wonderful journey. So the architecture discipline was a fantastic one because
Yeah.
it's using your imagination, it's using your creativity, and it's also integrating the potential of the future into physical form. So you are imagining every day what is possible. What does a space feel like? What does it? What is the emotion as you're walking through a space? How can the proportions and the color and the texture change a person's experience that they might have of that space in the future? And so it was a wonderful time where I got to really understand that we all have creativity just as much as we have logic.
Yes.
It's just that often in educational institutions, we're told, you're either good at maths or you're good at English, or you're if you're an artist, then you can't be good at science. And so I realized that, well, actually, that's not entirely true. Everybody has their own unique creativity. You just have to find how that expresses itself for you.
Yeah.
And so it was this beautiful time of really getting in touch with that part of myself, and it was a very, very disciplined study regime. So it was very, very intense, very disciplined, and that discipline and work ethic set me up for really the beginning of my professional career. So I went on and made sure that I got my registration. I soon got my building license after that. I realized that I had a love of residential design. I loved creating houses and spaces and places. And I also loved the process of working with people and helping them have their dreams come to life. And that it's also a very stressful process for a lot of people. It's perhaps financially one of the largest, spends that they might do in renovating a home or building a new home. Working with couples and understanding the difference between what the dynamic is in the couple that you're working with, and really being able to support them in that. So it was where I really began to touch base with my EQ, and really being able to make sure that not only was I creating a physical building, but I was also creating an experience. And then I was also coordinating with the government bodies, different contractors, legal contracts. So there's a lot of coordination in the process of architecture, which set me up in very good stead for implementing projects later in life, because it's exactly the same process, it's just a different medium. So that was a wonderful, wonderful time in my life. I absolutely loved that time in my life. And then, as with all stories, I met a man. So I met my husband, and my life took a 180-degree turn. And I entered into the realm of finance. And it's been a very interesting journey throughout the years, working and building Mortgage Easy, which is now known as one of the best non-bank lenders in Australia. And it was really that journey of starting the company. There were only two of us at the start. I did absolutely everything from answer the phone, print out the paper, pay the bills, fill in the applications, absolutely everything. And now we have a team of just short of 200 people. And
Okay.
we've gone through a spectacular cycle over the 19 years of business of continuing to grow that company and to serve the Australian public with an alternative to the type of home loans that are available here. So, this got me to a very interesting time in my life where I realized that I'd had this incredible journey and so much life experience and rich life experience. And throughout the
Yeah.
process of working within the finance realm and always continuing to do my architectural design, as you mentioned, I became
Yeah.
passionately involved in learning about building biology, which is the study of non-toxic homes and spaces, and
Yeah.
how do you create places that are healthy for people to live in, and how do spaces affect people's health. And so I always had this sort of dichotomy, these two parts of me that were going on. So I had this sort of very creative, design-based part of my
Yes.
character, and I had this very logical, linear, almost corporate-based experience in business.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how was I to put those two together? And then, as with all things, I was incredibly fortunate that I met an amazing man called Ron Malhotra, who is a wonderful mentor and a world-class thought leader, speaker, author, and financial advisor. And then the successful woman was born. And so
Okay.
Namrita Chandi and I were absolutely thrilled at the opportunity to become ambassadors for the movement. And
Yeah.
it's an initiative
Yeah.
that is going to offer holistic success education for women around the world, because we realized that while we had both had really unique stories and just incredible things to share, we learnt them through our life experience, and there are a lot of things that simply are not taught. They're not taught in schools, they're not taught in universities. And
Yeah.
so both of us came to this realization that we would love to be able to give back to the women of the world and to be able to support them in learning and understanding the things that you need in order to define your own version of success in life, and all the things that we had to learn through the School of Hard Knocks, put together into a program to share for women so that they might be able to benefit that, because there are so many different aspects to being successful,
Yeah.
and it's not just career, it's your health, it's your mindset, it's your financial wealth, it's the quality of your relationships, it's your ability to feel joy and excitement, to feel connected in life as well. So Namrita and I have embarked on this journey together. We're absolutely loving it. And the most amazing thing is I get to meet all these amazing women around the world, like yourself.
Yes.
So it's
Thank
just
you.
been an absolute joy, and
Yeah.
we love doing it. So if you can sum up 48 years into a nutshell, that would be it.
Yes, yes, of course. So yeah, it's been really. You have told us in nutshell, of course, but there's so many important points, and it's so beautiful. And then combination of being an architect and becoming something else, and there's so much of creativity and then logic, and then into finance, and then now you are doing the successful women. So I would love to know more about when we are talking about, because at Aspiring Shade, that's basically designed and to inspire women from across the globe. That's the idea, that's the platform is all about. So when we say that, we would love to know more about, like, when you conceptualize the successful women, as you also shared over here, that that is also to support women and all that. So in Australia, when I talk about, we are here in India, but in Australia, when we talk about women empowerment, where do you see that the kind of gender inequality, when the whole world is fighting, it's fighting for that. So where is your country lacking? I mean, is there anything you would like to address as far as gender inequality is concerned in your
Sure.
country?
Well,
Yeah.
it's very interesting, because on the
Yeah.
surface, Australia is quite progressive, but there are
Yeah.
definitely pockets where it's just not the case. So
Yeah.
I can speak, from my own career.
Yeah.
When I finished architecture school, I went through architecture school. We were 50% women and 50% men.
Yeah.
However, less than 10% of those women that graduated actually went on to become registered and to own practices of their own. The other sort of 30% ended up actually working for other people, but never actually getting their license. So that was my first introduction. And then, of course, you can imagine being a young woman going onto construction sites.
Yes, yes, of
I
course.
had some very, very, very confronting experiences. I remember one day where the men that I was working with they walked off site. They
So,
just wouldn't speak to me. So, I went through some very extreme events where I realized that, I was going to have to come at things a slightly different way if I was going to be able to, be where I wanted to be, regardless of what was being presented to me. And then that continued, when I've always been quite lucky in the sense that I looked younger than I did, and I love that now. But, when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, that wasn't so great for me. So, what would happen is I would be in these business settings and people just made assumptions around who I was not. They didn't see me as the founder of the company. They didn't see me as the owner of the business. They thought that I was a salesperson or an assistant, and they would physically speak differently to me. And so, I was constantly, in this environment where, I really had to go that extra mile to be taken seriously. And,
yes,
definitely now, when it gets to certain echelons of the financial industry, it's still a very male-dominated environment. So recently, I went to a lobbying exercise with a group of peers, and I was the only woman. And there were, 13 other men representing. And so it's still not uncommon to be, at the very top levels in the minority. And so being able to manage and to present yourself well and to hold yourself in a space full of men, the environment has changed, but it's not too dissimilar to when I was on a construction site and I was the only woman on site. So, I think definitely things are changing. A few years ago, they launched a Woman in Finance Award as an example, and that has grown, tenfold. Women in the industry are definitely speaking up. Women are definitely becoming more recognized. And generally speaking, people see the value of working with women and the fact that we do bring a different context to what we do. And
yeah,
so we've always been very lucky within our own company. We didn't have to have a gender bias employment program came in because we hired for the best person for the role, and more than 50% of them were women. So
okay,
across our company, we have a very healthy mix, and that was something that we created across race, gender, age. So discrimination is not just female based; it's also across a variety of other things too. But I think things are changing, but definitely we still have a way to go. In my opinion, certainly. But definitely, the other thing is just with the new acceptance of flexible work arrangements being. I mean, we've all been forced to work from home. That's going to open up a whole new landscape of opportunities for women. And I know many of the women that worked in our team, as much as it was really challenging having the kids at home, they also loved it too because they didn't have to race to take the kids to school and then get to the office. And so I think that there's going to be some changes as well coming in, just with the changes generally in the
yeah.
market.
Correct, correct, correct. But when we talk about this is like kind of positive signs which you are saying that from if we compare it to the say about past 10 years, like in last 10 years maybe it has changed or it will change in coming years. But when we talk about the women empowerment in terms of equal opportunities, as you said, you also are doing certain initiatives which are there, and you are also associated with Australian government also in certain such campaigns. Can you share more about any initiative which you have taken specifically or under the successful women, or how you are planning to do this? Is there a community or a structure which you are following, or how other women can be part of it, or how we can spread the word about joining your initiative?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, one of the biggest things that I realized is that, a lot of women suffer from either low self esteem, a lack of
Yeah.
confidence,
Yeah.
or even if they are successful, they have moments
Hmm.
of, suffering from the imposter syndrome.
Okay.
And so, really one of the core things that, we want to do is to empower women to understand what are the things that are actually driving that. So, what are the things that will take you into fear? What are the things that will make you doubt yourself? What are the things that may cause you to hold back, to have a
Yeah.
poor sense of self-image about yourself? And, the thing that's really incredible about this is that no matter where you are in your journey of success, this is an
Yeah.
ongoing process. So
Yes,
there's
of
always,
course.
yeah, there's always this process of what's next for me.
Yeah.
What's the next level of my own development? What are the things that are holding me back? What are my
Yeah.
current limiting beliefs? And really learning to master the subconscious mind and to bring
Yeah.
things into your life that support you in
Yeah.
becoming the woman that you see yourself to be. And so, one of the things that's always worked well for me is not to worry so much about what other people are thinking, but to really focus on what I believe about myself, what I believe to be true for who I am, and to focus on that, because in reality, that is the only thing that you can control in life is actually your own thoughts and what you do, the actions that you choose as a result of that. And so many, many women need support in understanding how to master that. How do you master your mindset? How do you
Yeah.
overcome your fears? How do you deal and develop resilience? I've had to learn incredible resilience, and recently I've got this beautiful woman who works on our executive team, and she was really having a difficult time. And I stayed back in the office really late. It was just the two of us, and I could see that she was doubting herself. And what she really needed from me was that reassurance, that re-encouragement that I believed
Yeah.
in her, and also that I explained to her that there have been many times that I've gone home at night, cried myself to sleep, got up the next day, and got back to work. And that everybody has this idea that success is this dream journey and that it's always easy. Well, it's not. Sometimes it's really challenging and it's tough. And so, what are the tools that you need in order to be able to master that? So, Namrita and I have put together, we've got a channel on Instagram, we've got a group
Okay.
on Facebook.
Yeah.
We'll also be launching on LinkedIn. We'll be having our first online live event this year.
Okay.
Actually, we're going to be hosting it in India. So really, really
Okay.
looking forward to supporting the women in India, because I know it's a very,
Yeah.
very key time in the development of women generally in India.
Yes, of course.
And so if you want to, we've got lots of daily information. We're going to have groups and ongoing mentoring as well, so that we can support, the community at large. So if you're interested, I would love you to check it out. But it really is understanding what it is about yourself that you might need to change, adjust, or do in order to become the better version of who you want to become.
Yes, yes.
And whatever that truth is for you, because it's different for every
Yeah.
woman.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something which is of a very valuable thing, which would be interesting enough for everyone to join the initiative since you're launching here in India also. So I wish you all the success, and I wish that a lot of women from different fields of work would also love to, join this campaign of yours and support this, and we would love to associate definitely. Anytime. So, talking about little more things which you had shared, I'll just go a little ahead of it and ask you about when we talk about positivity in life, because I have seen and I've been following you also that you talk a lot about life positivity and living a positive life. So, when we say that, what exactly is, as per you, is the understanding of wellness and well-being or mental health, and the kind of phases we go through, each and everybody in life in general, especially for women, if I talk about, and how to keep that rhythm and keep that calm and peacefulness and peace of mind there, and then go ahead and get that success also. What's your
Yeah.
mantra you've been following? Yeah.
Um, there's so much that I could share about that, because I think, like a lot of other women, I've also gone through some, very dark times. I suffered postnatal depression after the birth of my first child. And, I certainly have gone through some very challenging times. And so one of the things that I've come to realize is the more that you can become focused and channel your thoughts in the direction that you want them to be going, the better it will be. And so for me, it's really a combination of, what am I really thinking right now?
Yeah.
Am I actually aware of what is happening in my mind? Or is my subconscious presenting beliefs or images that may not be supporting me? So really learning to master that ability to have a thought and actually stop, count to 3, and ask yourself, is this true for me? Yeah. And where does it come from? Yeah. It's because every day, we're bombarded with these thoughts that come out of nowhere. And if we're busy and stressed or tired, run down, then those thoughts can start to change our reality. So we definitely attract what we're thinking about. And so the more you can put things into your life to support a positive frame of mindset, then the more potential you have to create a positive reality. Now, this is happening in physical form. And in fact, actually, I'm releasing my book next month, which is called Body, Mind, Spaces. And it's all about the relationship between what happens in our mind and the physical spaces that we live in. And this is an example where our thoughts and our patterning actually display in our homes, in our work environments. You can actually see what's going on. So one of the things that's really important is to understand, what is it for you that supports you in the way that you need? Is it eating good food? Is it making sure that you get enough sleep? Is it dancing? Is it listening to music? Is it exercising each morning? So whatever it is that works for you, you need to find that thing that's going to support your physicality. So, typically, getting up at the same time every day, as you're coming out of that sleeping space, making sure that whatever it is that you think in the first 5 to 7 seconds that you wake is going to set up your day. So if you wake up and you feel, wow, I'm so excited to be alive today, it's going to be a great day, then that sets your momentum in a certain frequency and wave, and that then goes on to support yourself throughout the day. If you wake up in the morning and you feel negative and tired and everything's bad and woe is me, that's going to set a certain vibration too. Not to say that you can't change that throughout the day, but that's been a very important practice for me. And so I've noticed, having a very busy life where there's, I never know what can come my way at any time in a day. And so the most important thing for me is to set myself up in the morning to make sure that my mind is clear, my energy is clear, my body is in a good state. So making sure I've done my exercise and my practice, and also making sure that I've spent time, connecting with me. Yeah, connecting with me, my sense of my soul and who I am, and what it is that I want to create, and really making sure that I feel that sense of centeredness within me, because whatever happens throughout the day, it's happening around me. It's not happening to me. And so the more that you can be centered and focused, then the better I find that I'm able to manage that. So it's it is making sure that you can understand it. It sounds very cliche, positive thinking. It's a
Yeah.
lot more than positive thinking. It's actually understanding how the subconscious mind works and what drives you every day, and what's affecting you, what's creating your life. And, one of my personal passions for supporting the successful woman is because I too have gone through phases where I succumbed to that. My thinking was not at the quality that it needed to be, and I suffered in my life greatly as a result of that. And if there's any way that I can support other people so that they don't have to go through what I went through, then that's what I want to do. That's my passion. That's my why, that I'm doing what I do.
Right, right, right. No, it's so inspiring. And it's like when we talk about positive thinking, there are many things which one goes through in life, in the entire, phases, different phases which are there. But when I talk about positive thinking, what is the best way to avoid negative thoughts, if even if you're going through as per you? What do you say? How to avoid that negative thoughts, keeping them aside, and then, moving on to the next thing, what you have? How to fight that?
Yeah, so it's interesting if you've ever been to a Tony Robbins event, right? And he talks about this, and it really is true, right? So what will happen is, if you're having a negative thought, there's an energetic vibration around that. And that brings up emotions. So it can bring up sadness, can bring up fear, can bring up all of these things. And then those emotions start feeding your thoughts. So you're experiencing fear, you're experiencing shame, you're experiencing sadness. Then those feelings start to feed your thoughts again. So the only way
Yes.
really to break that pattern is to do exactly that, is
Yeah.
to actually have a physical break. So moving your body, yeah, having a shower. I often say, go to the shower, wash it off, right? And it's an energetic process, but it's actually shifting into a different physical space that allows your physical body to catch up to a new potential. So putting on a happy song, forcing yourself to connect with that, right? So if you've ever done laughing yoga or things like that, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. So laughing yoga is where you laugh, and in the beginning it's really forced, right? So so
Yes,
so
yes,
you're
yes.
laughing and it's really forced and it feels really silly. But then when you actually get into the motion of it, you can't help yourself. You
Yeah.
just start laughing and you're full of joy. Well, it's exactly the same process with changing from negative thinking to positive thinking. And of course, they say one of the best ways to do that is to be in gratitude. So where you're grateful, you cannot be in fear. Okay. And
Yeah, yeah, of
typically a
course.
lot of the negative thinking is fear-based thinking. Yeah. So
Yes,
if you're
yes, yes, yes.
experiencing gratitude, real gratitude, you
Yeah.
cannot be in fear. So also reframing. So learning to reframe thoughts is a really valuable thing. So as an example, you might say, the mental thought that comes up might say, I'm not very good at public speaking. And that's something that you're telling yourself. And so you keep telling yourself, you keep reaffirming that. You get an opportunity to do some speaking. Maybe you don't do as well as you would like to because you've been believing that. So learning to reframe your thoughts. So reframing that thought might be, every week I'm getting better and better at speaking easily.
Yeah.
Okay, so learning how to reframe your thoughts. So there's a multiplicity of things that you can do. So shifting your physical energy, learning to reframe your thoughts, meditating so that you can actually learn to observe your
Yes, of course.
thoughts. Yeah,
Yeah.
really important. Slowing down the mind, setting up the practices, and also knowing what brings you joy. And that's different for every person. Joy can be hugging your child. Joy can be the smell of a flower. Joy can be a particular song that you just
Yeah,
love.
that you just love.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, of course.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, that's why a lot of people love, physical exercise, because it's the release of those endorphins as well, and understanding that we're biochemical beings. There's a lot going on, you know, aside
Yes,
from what's
yes.
happening physically, we've got the whole biochemistry, you know, that we need to manage too. So
Yeah, yeah, of course, these things really matter a lot, and a lot of things which you have suggested one should follow if they are looking forward to that kind of, life which is full of positivity and less of negativity. And when we talk about the mental balance, that also covers under this, that firstly you will have to have that kind of, once you start your day as you're suggesting, it should start with a positive note rather than, thinking about negative things or any negative thought. We have to kick that out, right? That's what I think I'm saying the right things. So when we talk about the different phases of life, and then you are writing a book also, so can you just take us through the small thing, like what exactly is this book all about and when we are going to see that book?
yeah, so the book is coming out in September, and
Okay.
it's the compilation of my experience of trying to connect my understanding about creating spaces and how
Okay.
physical places reflect what's happening in our life. So I
Okay.
noticed over many years, so I studied feng shui and
Yeah.
geomancy, space
Yeah.
clearing, a lot of the esoteric sciences around buildings, and then also some of the technical sciences around water damaged homes and how molds can affect your health. So
Right.
once again, it was this joining of the scientific and the esoteric, which has really been, the story of my life, is the balancing of different extremes, on a spectrum.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but the book is designed to help people that, as we were talking about, sometimes, we can get stuck. We can get stuck in
Yeah.
life, and we're not sure what it is that needs to shift. We know something needs to shift, but we can't quite put our finger on it. And often there's examples of what the patterns are in our life in our physical home. And so the book is a summary of my understanding and observation and some of the case studies that I've done with clients over the years, helping them to understand the patterning that they needed to shift. So as an example, we're talking about this before, a lot of people are trying to work out, well, how can I shift to a more positive mindset? And people often struggle with changing the mental things. Well, the physical things are exactly the same vibration, but they're happening at a slower pace. And so
Yeah.
what happens is, when we move through the physical things, we create a vacuum for change. And so even the simple act of reorganizing your space means that you're making conscious decisions about your life. Do I want this object? Is this object right for me? Is
Yeah.
it resonating with who I see myself to be? Is it serving me? Does it represent the kind of life that I want to lead? And as we choose to let go and to move things, we start moving old energy, and we create a space for a new way of being to come in. And so what I've noticed is, a lot of people, it helps to work on the physical reality of things, because
Yeah.
then you can see what's actually happening, and then your mind sets up this anticipation of what more is coming. And so
Yeah.
it supports your belief that you're able to make changes in your life. And that's why working within our physical space is so important, because it's a direct reflection of our mental creation. The physicality is our mental
Yeah.
creation born into reality. And so if
Right.
you're wanting to change your life, working with your physical space in the same way that working with your physical health is really important, well, you can do that with buildings too, right? Because buildings are energetic, they tell a story, they carry stories, they carry energies, yeah, too. So, often people will move into a new home, and that home has a history.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, things are changing rapidly for the people that have moved into that home. And it could be for a variety of reasons. It could be residual patterning. It could be something physically about the building. So I've known people that have moved into homes over, incredible geopathic stress and the effect that that's put on their health. It could be that there was a flood and that there was a water event and there's actually mold spores which is affecting their health. And so the buildings that we live in, they are a part of our ecosystem, and they're much more than just physical matter. And so the book is really explaining that in the three different parts, and it's also explaining how this can link back to wealth and the experiences that I've had in helping clients redo the charts of their home. And also throughout the years of creating business, I would play with it. So when we would open a new office or when I would do a layout, really understanding that the way in which I consciously planned that had an effect on the business. And being able to see that direct correlation. So whether it be your health, your relationships, or your wealth, whether it's your home or your office, it's all having an effect on you. And particularly now during, COVID-19, a lot of people are working from their bedroom. It's this whole adjustment to actually working from home. And so there's been an energetic shift for a lot of people with that too.
Yes, correct, and very rightly said. Because in India, it's very old thing, coming from our culture and the kind of background we have in India. You must be knowing that fact that in India, when you talk about the energies of home or office or any place you're going to buy new. So there's this astrology, there's Vastu, a lot of things which are there in India which we practice and we believe in them very strongly. So it's nice. It's really nice to know that even in U.S. and Australia and other countries also you believe in those energies, and we are on the same page in this. So so beautiful. And when we talk about these things, and we compare from India and to Australia or any other country for that matter, what exactly attracts you to India? I mean, is there anything you would like to address upon that? What you love most about India?
Well, I actually have a connection to India. My grandfather was born in Mumbai. So
Okay,
I,
okay.
I actually have a family connection to India.
Wow.
And I was really disappointed because I was come back before COVID hit. And so, I'm not
Okay,
sure when
okay,
I'll be able to physically travel to India again. But
okay.
there's always been this kind of inner connection
Yeah.
within
Yes,
me.
yes. Yeah.
And the more that I work with Namrita, partnering in the successful woman, and the more that I get to, engage with the women in the community,
Yes.
I just love it. And, I can also see that as a country, there's, huge and significant issues for women generally, whether they be, advancing in career and work, whether that be, having the opportunity to have an education versus, early childhood marriage, all of those sorts of things. And so there are some very different issues in India to Australia.
Yes.
But I think that, every successful woman starts as a girl.
Yeah.
And so, while, many of us that are in our, 30s, 40s, even early 20s, are coming to grips with the changes, in life and what we need to be successful, being able to really engage with a nation that to me feels like there's significant change coming in this space is something that, I'm really excited about doing. And, particularly I've got girls of my own. And, I think we're getting into a stage where, the borders are breaking down, around the world. And everybody in the world is online at the moment. And
Yeah.
in fact, the physical borders are closed, but the
Right.
connections that have opened up as a result of that are actually deepening. as people really understand that, we really are one planet, one connection. We actually are all connected. When you get to the essence of understanding energy and how it works, then this is something that's just a universal truth. And so it's this really interesting time at the moment. And so even though physically, I'm being prevented from coming to India, I feel more and more connected every day, and I love learning about it. I love the colors and the vibrancy and the passion and the determination, and it's really inspiring to see the women finding their voice and communicating, who
Yes,
they
yes.
believe they want to be.
It's really great to know that you have such a strong connect in India, and we would love to meet you once everything settles down and you again come back here yeah, to India to your grandparents' home. And we would be so happy to associate also further upon this, and would love to explore more synergies. So when we are talking about women empowerment, you have done so much, and you are doing it through the Successful Women. You're writing a book also, and you are managing your home, like being mother of four, and then you are an architect, and so many things which are combined together. So where do you get this inspiration from?
Well, it's really interesting. I struggled for many years trying to
Yeah.
come to peace with who I am because I had such variety. And, they say, jack of all skills, master of none. And so for many years, I was very hard on myself because I felt like I really wasn't an expert in any one thing. And then I realized that actually being able to manage lots of different things, that's actually my brilliance. So, being able to, range across a multiplicity of things, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
that
Managing
actually
that.
is my skill. Yeah.
Yes,
Um,
yes, of course.
and,
That's
and so, the thing for me was, I also realized a time where, it's actually time for me to get out there and to speak up around, what I believe and what I know to be true. And that, the most important thing we can ever do is be
yeah.
the person that we want to be. That's what really touches others to become who they believe that they can be. And so the
Yes.
most important thing I can do is to keep working on myself, to keep my feet on the ground, to keep stretching myself, challenging myself, asking myself to grow. And, for me, being able to contribute to others in a significant way, which, to be honest, you never really know what that moment's going to be for another. It can be just a simple thing you say. It can be a simple thing that you do. It could be, really significant. I've had people come to me many years later and say, do you remember that time when we were talking and you said X, Y, Z? That totally changed my life. And I said, really? And they said, yeah. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize that. But you know when you're speaking from your heart, and when you're speaking your truth. And I think when you're emitting that kind of energy into the world, it can only do good things. So for me, that's really where it's at. And being able to encourage people to explore things. And I'm also at this really interesting time in my career because, I'm 48, right? And I feel like my career is just beginning. And so, I'm really determined that not to be held by the conventions of society, and, to understand that, I have, a beautiful life ahead of me and lots of opportunity to be able to contribute. And, as I grow and mature and expand and develop my life experience on this planet, that will have value to others, that I can support and nurture through. And that, there will come a time, when the wisdom of women, that are getting into their 50s and 60s and 70s will be valued, as opposed to, not being seen as beautiful on the cover of a magazine channel or something like that. So for me, I've been spending a lot of time thinking about about that. And I'm really excited about the age that I am, because I
Yeah.
still have lots of youthful energy and hopefully lots of wisdom that I can share with others. So, yeah, so that's kind of where I'm
Definitely
at.
is. Yeah, no, so positive and so refreshing. All your thoughts and the way you are communicating and you're expressing and you are encouraging many of us all together. And thank you, Joanna, for taking our time and sharing the screen with us. And then it's going to go and we'll be spreading it to many of the women out there in India who are entrepreneurs and budding entrepreneurs and who are holding some of the other startups also, and they plan to expand them in other countries as well. So they might connect with you and they might like to join the successful women, and they would connect with you and they can write to you. I think they can write and connect with you via email or anything, all the viewers who are listening to me. So thank you so much, Joanna. And before we close the session, which was so inspiring for each one of us, I would like to have your message to all of the viewers out here.
Wherever you are in your journey, just keep going. Just keep going, just keep exploring. There's always a new day coming. And anything that you can imagine is possible. It really is true. Anything you can imagine, when you feel it and you know it to be true, it will become your reality. And so don't worry about what other people say is or isn't right for you. Just follow your heart and keep going on your journey. And even if you get knocked down, just get up on your feet, keep going, just never stop, just keep going, keep growing. And there's a beautiful life out there for each and every one of you. So if I can support any of you in any way, please feel free to reach out. Namrita and I, it's our absolute passion and honor to do so. So we would love to be able to serve you.
So positive and so inspiring of you, Joanna, that you have enlightened many of us in many ways, and we look forward to have more such sessions with you in times to come. And good night and take care. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you so much for joining me again. Thank you, Joanna.
You too. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.